Welcome to Conversations with Friends. And you are about to meet I would love to say that she's my friend now because she is an amazing person and has a lot to share and a lot of experiences, and they are quite different in certain ways. And so here's her book. I'm going to show her book right now. Is Jill Amy Sager. Hope you can see this. Hope you can see this. Well, guidance from the universe, hopeful messages for everyday challenges. And I just want to say, who doesn't have challenges, right, Jill?
That's right.
It's just everywhere, isn't it? And but your challenges started when you were quite young, and so your initial awareness, and you were very aware even then, of you had to do certain things in your life. They informed you, didn't they? They
Yeah, absolutely.
pushed you on this path to helping others. But how you help others is quite different as well. So it started with tarot, but let's talk about your beginnings. Growing up and what you went through as a child, and then how that moved on to so much.
Sure. Well, first of all, Meredith, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you for enjoying my book. I do talk a bit in the book about my upbringing. I was born with a physical disability, one leg shorter than the other. Had some surgeries at age 9 that left me more disabled, more permanently disabled. And I was a kid living in New York City. That if people know New York, it's a very hustle bustle kind of place. There's no room there for I mean, you got to just keep moving. I should put it
Yeah.
that way. And I learned to keep moving. And I but left New York when I was 18, moved to California, and East Coast, West Coast, so different. It was at that time that someone gave me a tarot reading, which of course never would have happened in the 70s in New York City. California was a place I thought and I felt was a place of freedom, a place of new curiosity, different than the old kind of world feeling.
Different world. You are right. Different world. A
Oh,
feeling of, yeah, a lot of more soul searchers,
exactly.
organic eaters and gardeners, right? And
Yeah.
so much. And so you ended up in California
Yeah,
from
in
New
Northern
York.
California, the San Francisco area. And I got a tarot reading from a friend of mine who said she was a witch. This is in the 70s. I was like, a witch? What's that? What's tarot? I had landed on Mars. But I took to the reading, I took to the cards. Obviously, I've been doing this now, reading cards since then, and I really cannot explain how tarot works. I don't try to explain, but it is
Mhm.
magic, and it really does speak to what's deep inside of us. And also, still to this day, when I work with clients and even use it for myself, it really speaks to our personal inner being. And we learn so much from the cards about how to live and how to get by and how to get through. There's so much knowledge and wisdom there.
I,
This
you
book,
know,
oh,
I'm
sorry.
embarrassed to tell you, I of course always heard tarot, but I, I never really knew what it was. So, do people come to you for a reading to find out, oh, if they're going to be successful or they're going to have a child or this or that, or do they come looking for something deeper? How
Well,
does it?
I think, if you get on my website, you can see what I offer. I believe
Mhm.
that tarot is really about know thyself. It really is about helping us to help ourselves. It's
Mm.
self-reflection, it's self-awareness. People do call me, of course, and they say, I want to know if Tom is going to come back in my life. But honestly, that's not my work. And I always say to those people, I'm not going to answer the future for you because there's no fun in that. It sets up a lot of expectations and disappointments. But I can do a reading to help you figure out why you're asking me that question. Like, why is that important to you? So my readings are always using the cards for, I believe, what they were meant for, which is really personal development. And that's really how this book came about because here I was reading tarot for years using the cards becoming highly intuitive for myself and for others, which happens, I think, when you're opening that, right side of the brain with pictures. I was also sidebar professional musician, a creative,
Mm.
us creative.
Percussionist, right? I read percussionist and
Yeah. And,
interesting.
and yeah, and anybody who is a creative knows that you're using intuition all the time. But anyway, without
Mm.
realizing it, my logical brain was interacting with that intuitive side, and I began to hear messages from the universe. And that's how this book came about. And I started to actually channel information, again, not offering future predictions. I don't like using the word psychic because I think it sets up a tone that maybe is too, again, not quite what I do. But I did get information, lovely, beautiful, supportive, loving, wise, different topics, and started to write them down. And that's kind of what's been going on since. I offer clients the opportunity to get messages that I receive through
Mm.
the wonder of the
Mm.
universe. And also I still use tarot cards. I just love them so much.
Wow. Well, that says a lot about the tarot cards because I can already know that just, and I saw our first time meeting, that you're very deep, of course, and you wouldn't buy into something that's not really, really deep that requires introspection and much spirituality, really. So people, when they come to you, do they understand that? Do they know that they're looking for something different than going to some place that is just offering, like you say, some future, what's going to happen if you're going to be rich or you're going to marry someone new or whatever? Do they know that when they come to you?
I'm not sure everybody does. I just did a bunch of readings online last week for an organization, and and I realized that no, people don't come knowing that, but they get that regardless. And it's always, I have to say, it's a win-win
Wow.
because people, I think what happens is people are a lot of people want answers.
Hmm.
They want somebody outside of them to tell them about their life or about what they need to do. And really, what ends up happening after my readings is that people realize they have the power to do that themselves, to get the answers themselves. All we're doing, and I say we, the tarot and guidance, and of course, at this point, everything I've learned from both these modalities. So I put myself in there too, my own experiences, like I have in the book. But what they get from my reading is that, you know what? Let's just switch your perspective so you can help yourself. And that's a lot more empowering than me telling them, do this, do that. I mean, really,
So you're not an advisor. You're more of an, can I
a
say, one
door
who
opener.
inspires? You
Yeah,
inspire.
yeah, I'm a door opener. That's maybe the way, yeah, because we all need, I really think, even look, just from friend to friend, don't we need different perspectives? We get in our heads so much. And I definitely balk at this idea that somebody has the answer for
Hmm.
me. You know what I mean? I want the advice or I want the perspective, but ultimately it has to resonate with me no matter what. And so if somebody can just help me to see like a shift in perspective, a new awareness that can really kick in a door that was blocked.
It's just kind of, I mean, to me, what happens to me personally when I'm dealing with a situation or asking is all of a sudden, I'll be meditating or even be somewhere. It might not even be meditating or anything. But I've asked the question to myself, what do I do about this? And all of a sudden the answer just sort of pops into my head. I recently had something like that. And it was so clear what I had to do. It just like almost like a voice said, do this. And I was like, where did that come from?
I love that. I love
So,
that. I have taught workshops in how to say it, like how to channel. Basically, it's how to get messages, is what you're describing.
Hmm.
And what you're describing is so accurate because one of the non-negotiables is you have to be, I think, quiet or relaxed or in that state. And the fact that you ask questions, that's so beautiful. Like, what do I need to do? And then voila, we all have, you're a great example. I'm a great example. We all have this ability. It's just about practicing it and trusting it more than anything else. That's been my experience. I'm not special. I'm not, seriously, I'm not special. I'm so not.
Well, I don't know about that. But
Well,
you say you're
I'm
not a
not,
guru, right? And
yeah,
you say that
no,
you're not what something else you say in the book. I'm not
I'm
this.
not enlightened. I'm not enlightened. I'm still a judgy, Jew from New York. I mean, but I have a perspective from years of experience that enables me to really get that we all have the answers inside of us. And it's really just about, I'm just very well practiced. Let me just put it that way. As you are, it sounds like. You're paying
I
attention and you,
work on it, but there sometimes it takes longer, right? It doesn't always for me, it doesn't always happen when I want it to happen. Like, what
right,
should I do next about this? Do I do that? But I
that's
think
right.
silence is very important, isn't it? Quiet time. You can't be just running something through your head over and over again. What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah,
It,
that's the non-negotiable to sit. I always tell clients when they're really having a hard time, just put a timer on for 10 minutes. I did,
mm,
I did many, many, many years ago. I had a wonderful mindful meditation teacher, fabulous. And it wasn't, and we're friends, it's not about what she taught me, it's not about um, trying to erase all the stuff in my head. It's really about
mm,
reflecting on what's going on and
yeah,
breathing. So you have a little space maybe
mm,
where it stops, like a half a second. But it helps. It helps to listen and trust, from our hearts that what we're getting is truthful.
beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, I think what we often do is we don't trust. We don't trust the process. And I remember being very lucky years ago to interview, and you might have had contact with him too, was the astronaut Edgar Mitchell. He was the sixth man to walk on the moon. And we had done some programs together, one on science and spirituality and some other things. And my husband came with me, my late husband. I mean, he wasn't my late husband then, but now. And my husband was saying, well, what do you do? My husband, he was open to this, but he wasn't like practicing or anything. And he said, well, how do you make decisions? And, if you have a situation. And Edgar said that. He goes, and I've never forgotten it. He said to him, trust the process. And that was like a wake up call to my husband, to Barry. It was like, oh, that makes sense. Often we don't trust, right? We
That's
just want to push ahead and we can't get an answer at that second.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Absolutely. And sitting quietly, it really is about just noticing what, like my mindful meditation
Mhm.
teacher would say, it's just about what arises. And, being able to sift through what does arise. And it's really about acceptance. It's not about, we are at our, this, I'm preaching to the choir.
No, I
I'm
don't.
listening.
We're
But
always learning.
yeah,
Let
but when we're stressed,
Mhm.
sitting wanting to get an answer and we're just frustrated and, like, why hasn't an answer come? That just is going to block everything. So it's really about relaxing. It's about trusting not just ourselves, but the timing. I have one of the chapters in my book is really about that. I was on a course to do something. I had a timeline. It's going to happen in the fall. I'm like, this is what I want. And then something happened that just blew that goal and that timeline apart, right?
Mm.
And I had to really learn at that time about acceptance. And that was such a huge, and even about time, like my time, what you had mentioned, we don't always get the answers right away. And I not only did I not, was I not able to follow through on what I wanted to do at that time, but what ended up happening later was better than it would have been if I had pushed that initial timeline. And what it taught me, and this has been consistent, this is not just from one example, what has been consistent now is that I trust, again, I'm very practiced and I have a lot of experience. So
Yeah.
I absolutely trust timelines. My
Mm,
that may not be mine. In other words, I I might have something on my to-do list to do, but that Monday comes and I don't want to do it.
mhm.
I'm just not in the mood. And it sits and it gets on my list again. And I'm one of those people now who's like, no guilt, no problem, no frustration, no forcing it. And on the day that I finally feel like I'm ready to tackle it, it's always perfection.
Beautiful.
And I also tell clients I've had this experience that, even when we have to make a decision, people get frantic. Well, I only have a week or whatever. And guidance, actually, the universe taught me that that decision can come at the, right, like a minute before you need that answer. If we're
Mhm.
patient and, tolerant of ourselves. So there's a lot I've learned about acceptance. And as we've been talking about relaxation and not being stressed and trust, self-trust,
Mm.
ourselves, the universe, timelines, um, it's magic. But
It is magic,
I've been
but
seeing
it's
it
true.
work. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. I've been seeing it work for so long. I can't go against the grain any longer.
Well, just listening to you, it's, making me feel like, yeah, this is right. This is the right way of thinking, isn't it? Because the other way is demanding, being unhappy, feeling stressed because you're not getting what you thought you should get. And that doesn't work. It really doesn't work. And pretty quickly. But yet sometimes you keep pushing and pushing. I remember I was trying to get another job in the media, and I I wanted this job so badly, another job. And I thought that I got it. I was hired, and then about a week later, the man that was hiring me he was actually sad because we were friendly. And he said, "I'm really sad, but this station has taken this away. You can't, we're going to hire someone in-house." And I was so upset. And I was like, why did this happen? And when months later, or even years later, I realized I was meant to stay where I stayed. All the great things happened at the PBS station I was at for my whole life. And if I had gotten that job in commercial news, and I wouldn't have made it anyway, because I'm really not, I'm not aggressive, and I'm not like motivated that way. And yet I didn't know that then. I didn't understand that then. Now I think that I'm different, but I'm not sure. You know what I mean? Like but then something can happen and go, why is this happening?
Well, we keep learning as we go. I mean, I also, like you, can fall back,
Hmm.
to patterns that aren't working well for me. But
Hmm.
example is really perfect. Guidance has taught me, and by the way, guidance is just the word I came up with for whatever this is. I have no answer for who I'm getting these messages from. Guidance just means help. So I just say guidance. I could say the universe, source.
And it comes, then what happens? How do you get the guidance?
Well, I get it
On the
through,
cards? I mean,
no, I get it
no.
through actual words.
Words.
Give me sentences, words. I get it through
Mm.
images. They give me images that then I have to explain. I get it through feelings. A lot of different things. Sometimes I even can go into trance and
Mm.
through whatever message. That's kind of how this happened. I mean, these are messages in the book, that I, just got from them. But what I was thinking about was how, what they taught me was that these things that happen to us, like what your example, your story, we realize later, wow, that was really the best thing is that I didn't get that job. They say, remember the taste of that because it's not a one-off. And
Oh.
that's so even though I might fall back to old patterns, when I do, I can remember, wait a minute, I had that experience.
Mhm.
That can be true now too. And it is.
Mm.
We may not always notice right away what the gift is or what the opportunity is when we're disappointed or things haven't worked out. But there are opportunities in suffering and there are opportunities in challenge.
Yeah, yeah, that all makes sense. And we can't just have the highs all the time where everything is like coming to us, it doesn't work that way. We're going to have those difficult moments and those challenges. And yeah, my experience has been that through the seemingly worst situations, there's always some light, some amazing light.
And then we're better for it. That's been my experience. When I
Yeah.
go through that dark tunnel, using that metaphor,
Hmm.
getting through the worst, I am always, and I'm saying always, I always then at that point I grow, change, I feel better. It's the pain of it is hard and difficult, but
Mm.
it's worth the ride. I am so that way now. I'm just relentless. I will sit with my pain and my suffering to get to that other side because it works so well for me. And guidance said, again, what you were talking about, there is that opportunity or that, our ability to get through that pain and suffering.
Hmm.
It's unfortunate that we have to learn that way,
Hmm.
but we pay attention when we get our asses kicked, so to speak. I mean,
We do. It
when we're happy and joy.
it's a wake up call, really, isn't it? In a way, I mean, it wakes us up rather than, oh, everything is wonderful and easy and life is great. It's sometimes we learn from those difficult moments. Not
Yeah.
sometimes. I think we should. Are the people that come to you, are they on a spiritual path, or they just come because they know of you and they know that you can help them? Or I was just wondering, how did they find you and what are they looking for?
Things have changed a lot because
Mm.
tarot is so popular
Online.
right now.
Yeah. Oh, it is. It
Oh,
is.
it's
Yeah.
so huge. I
Well,
mean, unlike when I was learning in the 70s and 80s, it was still kind of under the rug, under the radar. But now people it's off the charts. I mean, New York Times, Wall Street Journal. I mean, there's so many Google Tarot, and people are using it for real estate and therapy. I mean, it's a really different time in answer to your question about why people come. I don't always think that people understand that it's not therapy, it's on a spiritual, emotional level.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more and more people are looking for answers.
Yeah.
They have a lot of questions. Again, I'm not providing them definitive answers. I don't have those, but they are searching for something that will help them. That is really a lot of what's going on these days. I
Mm.
think that it's not just due to COVID, although that did change a lot for people. It did kind of up people's anxiety, I think. I think also it's just time and place. We went through the 60s. I mean, today, like yoga, it's so common in
Mhm.
Western society.
Mhm.
Even going to therapy is so common in Western society. My parents never would have gone to therapy. There's so much that has changed in terms of how we view the world in Western culture. More alternative eating, more. So I think it's really just this whole tarot resurgence is just a natural progression, just another modality to help us center, know ourselves, feel better, flourish.
Mm. I love these words. I do not want to end this interview without you just telling what some of the topics are. And I
Sure.
find it, I could do it, but I think you should do it. I'm holding the book, but you're the expert. Every chapter I would like to read like right the second, that's how interesting they are. And some of them are things that maybe I've thought about before or I've meditated on or taken a class like gratitude, but there's so many others in here and they're short. So you can read one and I think or another one and then maybe go to a different one another day. So it's a very easy to read book, isn't it? But
Yeah, thank you.
it's not just, oh, here's a simple book and you don't have to do much. It's very thought provoking.
Thank you. Yeah, there are 30 chapters, loss, forgiveness, choice, money, time, faith, intuition, acceptance, religion, and God is a chapter. So there are 30 chapters. Every chapter is broken down where the universe, has something to say, and that's in italics. And again, that's only 1 or 1.5 pages. But then I share my stories in this book for how I used the information about that topic. to better my life. And every chapter ends with a page called Reflections. And that is a way for people to jumpstart their own musings on the topic. There is one or two or three questions that can provoke someone's own healing on the topic. And you're right, the feedback I'm getting, I mean, people actually have been telling me they're reading, they love it. That's the feedback I'm getting. And they're reading it cover to cover, but really it's a book you can pick up any time and just dig into one of the chapters. And
Like before you go to sleep or something, you just take up, a chapter or in the morning, whenever, but you can do a little bit at a time. But as you say, you don't have to. You can read the whole thing all at once. It is a very thought-provoking, book, but easy. It's not, doesn't require thinking so much that, you get stressed out either, right?
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's beautifully written. It really is. And I was very touched, really by just when I got the book and I started going through it, it was like, oh no, I only have a couple of days left. I got to finish the whole book. I couldn't. So,
Oh,
but I
that's
have more to read, but I have read quite a bit.
thank you so much.
And I just really like, to know that you really are on the path yourself, towards self, just self-awareness and becoming more of who you are and being part of this shift that, that we think the Brahma Kumaris feel is, and others too, of course, is happening on the planet. It's a
Absolutely.
powerful time, isn't it?
Absolutely. And being self-responsible for
Mhm.
me, I mean, I don't think I would not be able to work with clients unless I was doing the work myself.
Mm.
I'm not like better than anybody. I'm just practiced. I mean, I'm doing the work. This is my life. I am not complacent. Complacency has never worked for me. That's my DNA. And I just commit myself to continue to grow, only not because, I've got like this monkey on my back, I have to do it. But no, because I have experienced the wonderful benefits
Mm.
from change. And I continue to do the quote unquote work myself, of course. I go to guidance and tarot when I'm stuck. I meditate when I'm stuck. I go to my altars. I have a lot of tools that I use, oracle cards, whatever it takes.
Beautiful. So this is a calling for you. You are called to do this at this time on the
I
planet.
think, and I think all of us really, I think that's why people are coming to me as clients. I think we are all getting a sense that we kind of all are being called to heal.
Hmm.
And I think, Meredith, you probably have this belief system too. It's not just about me. I feel like if I am a better, happier person, right, then I'm going to be happier and better for people in my orbit. And those people, if we're all happier and better, feeling better, then, just think what could happen in the world at large, right? So it really does, I think, start with me. That's my belief system.
That's it. That's all we have, right?
That's all I
With one
got.
person, you can't, and can't be converting, or, sometimes people say to me, are you trying to convert people to, meditation and this? And I go, no, I don't convert. When I talk about it to people, I don't convert. I just tell you what I've been through and how it's helped me in spirituality. And it's up to you. And for some people, it's not, they have no desire. They listen for a little bit and they move on. But then you have your good fortune where suddenly someone shows up at our center or somewhere, or we connect with somebody. And do you feel we're way over time, but let me ask you one more question. Do you feel this is the age of transformation, like something with all your guidance and, reflection and everything? This is the time where some really amazing changes happening spiritually?
Yeah, I definitely have
Mm.
felt an opener. I mean, there were years ago, even in the 90s, things just felt so closed in. And what's interesting is even today, with all the stuff going on politically in the United States, and
Mhm.
depending on where people are at, whatever, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But there is a lot of discourse and disharmony. And yet,
Mhm.
to answer your question, even with all of that discourse and disharmony and divisiveness, the guidance has helped me to feel more open and more hopeful now than I ever have. So there is a wellspring going on. There is something happening that I can't, I don't know. I don't know what it's going to mean. I don't know how it's going to evolve, but it's really hard for me right now not to be, remaining hopeful right now is easy. That's what I'm trying
Yeah.
to say.
Yeah,
So something's going on.
I feel, and according to the teachings that I've had, with the, excuse me, the Brahma Kumaris, it's a magical time. It really is, so don't look at all the bad stuff. Just keep moving with the good stuff. And people like you, who are doing wonderful things
Love that.
with
Thanks
the
for
people
saying
that you teach. So thank you. And again, guidance from the universe, hopeful messages for everyday challenges. And this is Jill Amy Sager.
And people can find me on my website.
Yeah.
Definitely, if you read the book,
Oh,
let me know what you think. I'm always open to I'm learning from people's opinions about the book too. So thanks, Meredith, for having me.
beautiful. It's a pleasure. And it was kind of neat to find out that you live in Eugene, Oregon, because I spent a few years there when I was quite young. And it had a big effect, spiritual effect on my life too, then. And so I know that energy of, I don't know what it's like now, but I'm sure it's got a lot of good energy. Yeah. So it's wonderful to get to meet you on Zoom.
Same
Take care.
here.
Okay. And I want to thank Marianne, our technical director, Marianne Weiss, who's been helping us, meditation teacher, spiritual person, amazing person, and she's been helping out with the program, technically. So thanks, Marianne. Om Shanti.